And that brings us to a question that was submitted to our Verify team. KHOU 11 News is the only news team in Houston with a dedicated group of researchers to fact-check reports and claims you see online. Marcelino Benito is verifying just how long it would take for a border wall to be built.
A viewer named Diane wanted to know, will it take 10 to 15 years to build President Trump's emergency wall at the border? Here's what we verified. Let's start with some history. Back in 2012, former Texas Governor and now Secretary of Energy Rick Perry was quoted as saying a border-length fence would require up to 15 years and $30 billion. President Trump's former Chief of Staff, John Kelly, told Fox News in 2017 that the wall should be finished in 2 years. Well, here we are and still no border wall. Congress is trying to hash out a deal, and the president is weighing declaring a national emergency. To verify our viewer's question, we went to Ed Zarensky, a construction economics analyst. He says it would take 11 years to build a 1,000-mile border wall. So we can verify building a wall will definitely take years, but a specific timetable is impossible to predict. But before you can begin any building, you have to find some funding, and right now, the debate over that continues. Is there something you'd like us to verify? All you have to do is ask. Email us at verify@khou.com or reach out to us on Facebook and Twitter. Back to you.